Hello, and welcome to Inventors Helping Inventors. I'm your host, Alan Beckley, inventor of the Wonder Wallet. If you're an inventor searching for proven ways to make money with your invention, if you dream to see your product selling in stores everywhere, you've come to the right place. There's no better place to get help than from experts, inventors who've already achieved success. Every week, I interview successful inventors, asking them the questions you want to know. Tune in to learn from the experts so you can get your invention out of the tank and into the bank.
And often I would work one day, keep the garage door entirely open, come the next day, and then it's smelling or it's got there's no air inside the garage over there. And it's one of those things that, hey, wouldn't that be nice to have type of a thought? And then talking to some friends and talking to some people, and then what can you do? Like a ceiling fan. There's no way to really in and out of the garage.
Einstein said that insanity is continuing to do the same thing, but expecting different results. If you're anything like most inventors, like I used to be, plodding away, trying to make money from your invention with no luck, you could be in the insanity loop. How's that working out for you? For over 2 years now, I've helped inventors to achieve real results and to achieve them more quickly through my premier training event, the Inventors Bootcamp. What is it? When is it? And how do you sign up? The Inventors Bootcamp is 5 days of live interactive Zoom meetings. Monday, May 13th through Friday, May 17th. Each night at 7 p.m. Eastern. It teaches you precisely how to create a clear, concise marketing message. Your total investment for the whole week is only $47. The next Inventors Bootcamp starts very soon, Monday, May 13th. Enrollment is open now. Just go to www.alanbeckley.com/bootcamp. Many podcast listeners, just like you, have joined the Inventors Bootcamp. Is it producing results for them? Here are just a few examples. Rhonda is starting manufacturing and about to do her first Kickstarter campaign. Michelle negotiated with companies interested in licensing her product. Julietta is testing her face mapper invention with children and adult artists now. Skeptical? I can give you their contact information and you can talk to them. If you're ready to end the no results insanity, register now at www.alanbeckley.com/bootcamp to save your seat at the May Bootcamp. Again, just register at www.alanbeckley.com/bootcamp. And we'll see you in the May Bootcamp. Quick update for bootcamps. If you're a regular listener, you've heard about the monthly bootcamps for a while now, right? My question to you is, why haven't you joined us until now? Maybe you're like Joshua, who was incredibly busy. For a long time, Joshua thought, someday I'm going to join the boot camp. Finally, someday arrived. He joined not just one boot camp, but 2 boot camps. And he's glad he did. He's made friends with other inventors in the boot camp. And now he's got a solid plan for his product to gain real traction moving forward. Even if you're busy, there's no better time to join us in the boot camp than right now to get on a solid track toward success. That's what you want, after all, isn't it? The next boot camp starts very soon. Now's your time to join us. Just go to www.alanbeckley.com/bootcamp, and we'll welcome you to the bootcamp community of inventors achieving their goals. May is here, and that means, as a podcast listener, you've got less than 2 weeks to join our new beta program, 3 Proven Steps to Your Invention Success. Act now so you can join other founding beta students. You'll get the lowest price that I'll ever offer for this course, only $97 for 3 one-hour training classes over 3 weeks. And it all kicks off on Monday, May 20th. Registration and information is available at www.alanbeckley.com/proven-steps. Enrollment is limited to just the first 15 students who sign up, and we already have 5 paid members. Okay, sounds interesting, you may be thinking. So what am I going to get when I join this course? In Class 1, I'll show you precisely how to find out if your product is already out there before you spend thousands on prototypes and patents. Not doing a comprehensive early product search can cost you thousands of dollars later on. Class 2 is all about prototype development. I'll show you how to progress from your proof of concept prototype all the way to your refined, proud to present prototype. You'll get proven, prudent, and practical ways to develop your prototype on your budget. Finally, in Class 3, I'll show you how to tap 3 specific resources to create your curated list of companies who are likely to be interested in licensing your product. Why waste years blasting out pitches to dozens of companies that have no interest in your product? When you invest just $97 for the program, you'll also get a bonus of 1 hour of one-on-one coaching with me, absolutely free of cost. That's a $150 value just for joining the program. It's like buying $97 of groceries. Then they give you a $150 coupon for more groceries for free. It's that good a deal. 3 Proven Steps has a 100% money-back satisfaction guarantee. If you don't think it's worth far more than $97, you'll get a full refund. Sign up now before the remaining slots are all taken. Just go to alanbeckley.com/proven-steps to register now. Doors will close as soon as we have 15 students. Don't miss out. Register now. Have questions? Just email me at alan@alanbeckley.com and put Proven Steps in the subject line. I look forward to working with you starting on May 20th to get you on a proven course to invention success. Again, go to alanbeckley.com/proven-steps to register now. Welcome to episode number 404. Today, I interview Erez Halfon. Erez Halfon grew up in Israel before moving to the U.S. With over 20 years of experience in business development from vehicle GPS tracking solutions, importing natural stones for flooring, to high-tech operational support roles, Erez has been focused on customer relationships and growing businesses to the best potential by identifying market segments. Erez was frustrated one day as he was working in his hot, stuffy garage on various projects. He had 6 windows that let in lots of sunshine, but no ventilation. There had to be a better way to work comfortably in a well-ventilated garage. He never found such a solution, so he invented it, the Zula Ventilation system. Zula Ventilation provides a steady stream of refreshing air powered by low-cost solar panels for garages, attics, and sheds. Today, Erez lives in North Carolina with his family. He enjoys marketing Zula Ventilation, playing soccer, and building and creating solutions in his garage. You'll want to listen to this entire episode, where Erez shares how his Zula Ventilation system not only cools garages, but also helps homeowners save on their summer cooling costs for the insides of their homes. Also, why marketing a new disruptive product is particularly challenging because consumers must be taught the benefits of doing things in a different way. And finally, how Erez showed skeptical consumers the wow factor of his product, quickly turning them into enthusiastic buyers. Now, let's get right to our interview with Erez Halfon. Erez Halfon, it's a pleasure to have you on the podcast with us today.
Thank you, Alan. Good to be here. Appreciate it.
You bet. Erez, I'd like to ask, can you share a bit of your background with our listeners? Where did you grow up and go to school, and what did you do before you became an inventor? Can you share that with us?
Sure, Alan. Thank you. Yeah, I'm originally from Israel. I was born there and moved to the U.S., I'm just going to say about 20 years ago. and I was dealing with importing natural stone for flooring and tiles and kitchen and renovation from all over the world. Some of them are called Jerusalem stone, so it's limestone over there. Dealt with vehicle tracking solution. And I like to do a lot of hand working myself in the garage and kind of repair, fixing, building different stuff, playing with wood and stone and things like this. Yeah, I started from there and then roll my way into innovation.
Thanks for sharing that. You mentioned you had come from Israel about 20 years ago. And interesting, I don't think we've had anybody else in the podcast who were importing natural stones and using that for flooring from all over the world. So that must have been pretty fascinating work all by itself.
Yes, it was very rewarding. Again, I think it helped with education of new things, new materials. Like you said, people don't know you can use it for the flooring, for the tile, for the backsplash, for the shower, things like this. It had to be a lot of education about the use, the application that it could go in. And then obviously being the region over there, being very unique colors and characteristics of the stone itself to be laid out within being part of a limestone. So the fossils or things like this.
Yeah, that makes sense. And also very good training for any inventor to learn how to introduce new things and new materials and understand that the public often has to be educated in doing something in a way that is perhaps different than they'd done things before.
Absolutely. Yep.
And speaking of which, Erez, you invented Zula Ventilation. It's an innovative product that provides solar power to provide effective ventilation for attics, garages, and sheds. Can you briefly describe the aha moment that caused you to develop this technology? And what was the key problem that you were seeking to solve?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I mentioned that I do a lot of work in my garage, and my garage has 8 windows on the top panel of the garage door. And often I would work one day, keep the garage door entirely open, come the next day, and then it's smelling or it's got different, there's no air inside the garage over there. And it's one of those things that, hey, wouldn't that be nice to have type of a thought? And then talking to some friends and talking to some people, and then what can you do? Like a ceiling fan. There's no way to really in and out of the garage. And looking into those windows, I said, you know what? It's great that it's bringing light, but I'd like to use that space maybe if I can play around with it and figure out that window option. And I started to play around going to the local hardware store, buying different stuff, found online inexpensive kind of a fan. And I said, hey, you know what? A fan does move hair over here. So it's interesting. And the more I played around with this, the more it became more real to say, you know what? I can create an actual air circulation because one of the testings that I've done was getting one big fan to suck all the air out. And within minutes, I couldn't open the garage door to get into the garage from the house itself. So I said, okay, there's got to be some air circulation combination in there. So I got to bring it in and I got to take the air out. And just again, playing with this kind of concept made a lot of sense. Had a lot of friends come in, look at this, talking about this. Some friends that are within the garage door industry. And it just, hey, this is an actual solution. This is something that people could use, especially nowadays when people use their garages and sheds or attics for just different purposes there.
It makes sense as if I view what a lot of people do in a garage, a closed garage, especially if they're working with tools and equipment or what have you, or even doing something like spray painting something where ventilation is important for your safety, really. But at the same time, opening the garage door or something where the ventilation means blowing wind all over everything wouldn't be good. So a more controlled form of ventilation makes sense. And you were describing your garage where you had windows for letting in the sun, but was not letting in the air. So it sounds like the combination of better ventilation into a garage space, for example, and then recognizing that you not only have to move the air in or out, but move it in and out in a controlled way. Would that be accurate?
Yes, absolutely. And that was the fascinating thing about it, is that within that smaller space of that small window, to be able to find a powerful enough fan. And now I have three fans in there. So two of them are pulling air into the garage and one out, creating that air circulation. And to your point there, people are using the garage so differently that I found out it's also a cigar smoking room for some. So you can think about the odor that stays in that room. Having that circulation up on top of that top layer of that garage door really creates that air flow throughout the garage. So if I stand in my garage and next to the fan, then I'm standing about 10 to 12 feet away, and I still feel a strong power of wind flowing through, again, 10, 12 feet away.
That does make perfect sense. So I'd like to ask another question. That is, a skeptic might ask you, so why are solar panels needed to power ventilation of attics, garages, and sheds? Also, how dependable are solar panels as a power source for ventilation in notoriously cloudy places like Seattle and much of the United Kingdom? And also, is ventilation provided constantly to such spaces or only when people need to enter them? Can you share your thoughts about that?
Sure. The initial idea came from the garage door itself, and seeing all the components of the chain, the motor, the ropes, all those things that puts a garage door together, it was just too risky for me to run in some kind of a power line, or any homeowner to playing around with some powers and lines and electricity going through this. And I found out obviously solar is right there. So why not use nature? Why not use green energy? And was able to find a powerful enough solar panel that was able to produce enough power to those fans, get all those fans working together, and really make a difference in the air movement. And then as I moved through different stages of finding out about solar panel, the conception is that you got to have full sun, but it's not really true. You don't need to have a direct sun to it. I have it installed in different places where basically there's no sun at all. It's just daylight that comes on the garage door itself. And you can see, I've been there many times to see that the airflow is still going. Again, the risk of wiring and playing around with all this, solar was the most attractive solution for attics, being remote out there in the field. If you buy your shed and putting it in the backyard, you don't want to run into construction and electricity and permits and running cables underground and all those kind of things. That gives you enough ventilation using nature, using the green energy in there. So that's what drove it into the solar power source. And then because it's designed that it's mounted at an angle, then there's no really maintenance to it. A lot of the solar power today that are mounted on roofs, they say you need to wash them, you need to clean them, you need to maintain them somehow. But giving the angle that it's at, there's no debris that could be built up on there. And if there were any, the next time it rains, it actually washes it right off because of the angle that it's in there. So that's a design with functionality put together.
Okay, so just to understand, thinking of solar panels on a roof, they're not necessarily 90 degrees, but they're in some cases close to that if it's a flat roof to the sun, whereas your panels are angled much more significantly, more like a window panel, so that it tends to be more readily self-washing. Is that correct?
Yes, exactly. It's if you look at the garage door itself, it's really standing right on the garage door. It's really, and same from the side of the building or the attic itself. It's almost standing up straight to get that flow in there. Yes.
Another question I had as I was thinking through this, and just in general, is I guess some people would say I work all day and I come home and I work on projects in my garage, for example, at night. And of course, there's not a lot of solar at night. Is there any way that it stores power and then can use it that way, or no?
The system is designed not to have any battery to it because of weight and because of extra issues with liability that comes with connecting a battery in the heat, collecting power, all this. I didn't want to play around with different batteries that store that energy, but it also works and it's most effective when the homeowner is not there. So when you are going on that 2 weeks vacation or a month or whatever time frame that you're away during the summer and it's still heated up, it's still ventilating the room. But then as soon as the sun comes down, usually the heat also comes down. There's not enough, it's not that hot in the garage once the sun goes down, and then giving the all day ventilation that was there, it really keeps it circulated and prevent any mold buildup in that room. The effect itself is not only when you're there, but also when you are not there, making sure that it ventilates the room, because especially a garage or an attic, they're attached to the home. So it has a direct impact to your utility bill, your air conditioned unit working much harder if those walls are heated up. So that's some of the benefits there, to make sure as long as there's daylight, we ventilate, we cool the place, and keep it efficient.
Okay, and that makes sense. And now I have a better understanding that for all intents and purposes, it runs pretty much continually as long as there's some kind of light source for it. And it sounds like it doesn't require or use a lot of power to do this. Is that correct?
Yes, correct. The fans are about 35 watts of power source. The fans themselves are powerful enough. As I mentioned, this is about 210 CFM per fan. So overall, for those that understand about cubic feet per minute, it produces 630 CFM, which is very powerful for any about 400 or 500 square foot of a room to keep that air movement on there. So again, using very powerful, they look like a PC, but just as a comparison, the PC computer fan that you see produce about 30 CFM. Each one of those fans is 210 CFM. So a total of 630 CFM could be very powerful for any room there.
And just a side question. So it sounds like there are some significant design elements to the fans themselves, right? To make sure that they draw enough cubic feet per minute, for example. Are there some unique things about the design of the fans? Or are they somewhat typical conventional fans?
So they look very standard kind of fans, but giving that power, they are designed enough to move that air much faster. The blades that they have are more angled in there. It does give enough source to make sure that the motor that it's running on push that air much faster. Yes, there is a design factor in the fan itself and the entire housing itself to make sure that winds are blowing away and not really creating this circulation of just pulling from one and taking it out immediately on the other one. It's really powerful enough. Like I said, if you stand 10, 12 feet away from the fans in the garage, you'll feel a very good source of airflow in there.
I also recall that you were talking about effective ventilation just generally. And I was thinking also about, about the cooling effect that it has for air conditioning, et cetera, because it doesn't heat up as much. And I noticed in your website, you also referred to attics. Would we have a similar kind of benefit, even though someone's not typically going in the attic of their home very frequently? But if the temperature can be brought down in the attic, then that could also improve home cooling and things like that. Would that be accurate?
Yes, correct. So all those walls that are connected to the house are affecting the overall utilities, especially the HVAC that is working. The walls are extracting heat out of them. So one of the things that I've read somewhere is that if you don't have a proper ventilation in your attic, within 10 years, you'll start seeing the impact and damage to the house itself, cracking down and doing a lot of different other repairs that you need to do because of the heat coming down from the attic, heat coming in from the garage itself. So it's definitely a mechanical aspect of moving air rather than the passive type of ventilation that is out there today, really waiting for a windy day to blow out the air. In a garage, for example, some of the options we see out there was either to have an actual ceiling fan, but then it means you need to have the garage door open so the air could flow in and out. The alternative is to put a full AC unit in the garage, but that's a whole different expense and a whole different kind of cost of things and permits to get that done. Between the attic and the garage, you're extending the life of your HVAC system by letting it breathe a little bit more because of those walls and rooms being better ventilated.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that with us. I wanted to mention that every inventor is going to encounter roadblocks and challenges along their inventive journey. Can you briefly describe one of your biggest challenges that you faced in bringing Zula to the market and how you overcame it? Can you share that with us?
Absolutely. You're 100% right on. And I think the short answer is I think I've heard you maybe on another podcast as far as the cell phones, the way they came up and developed into smartphones. And I'm one of those that had a flip phone, and I would say I would never turn into those phone screens and to smartphones type touching activities. There's no way. And today I cannot live without. One of the examples I've heard is also for the Nest thermostat that has been at the home. So everybody that looked into that Nest have said, there's no way. Why do I need a smart thermostat to get it activated remotely from my smartphone? And so to your questions, the biggest challenge that I come across is really that introducing a new solution, people know that they need the ventilation. COVID definitely taught us that we need a better air quality to be breathing in there. I just came back last week. I was at a trade show, and many of those decision makers said, "Well, go talk to our salespeople, see what they think." And as I showed this to them, I said, "Guys, what do you think about this ventilation?" The immediate answer was like, "I'm not sure I need it." And then as I shared some of the use cases and I said, look, this is where it's going to help between the mold, between the air circulation, everybody immediately started thinking and bringing their own use case. You know what? My customer has the same problem. I've heard it so many times from those type of customers. This could be a great addition to our solution. So it's like any new innovation that comes out, it really a little bit of understanding of what's the use case is for, that goes a long way. So that I would say is the biggest pushback, and knowing and be ready with those answers to overcome and make sure that it really is an innovative solution and not just another something that you just thought on your own without any too much thought in there.
Yeah, that's a great point. In fact, my last podcast, the gentleman referred to a challenge with bringing what he called a disruptive product to the market. He had come up with a improved way to wash cars. He was quite a car enthusiast, but he got frustrated because it'd take him an hour and a half to wash his cars. And then there'd be so much water wasted and so much soap wasted. So he came up with a creative solution of combining a hose with a sponge that used a fraction of the water and a fraction of the soap and would wash the car in 10 minutes. This was very disruptive. People were very used to washing a car in a certain way and having their buckets of water and soap and all the rest. And so he found that people would have to use it for about a month before they'd begin to say, okay, now I'm getting, yeah, this is so much faster. This is much easier. I don't use near as much water and soap. So I guess back to your point, sometimes you have to share some use cases with them so they can get it, so to speak, because it's just a new or different way of doing things than they've done it in the past.
Yes, and I'll tell you that right now we're in the process of building up our dealer network and resellers out there. And another kind of the wow effect is that as I go in there with the demo unit, we have our meeting in the office. We ask them to step outside and let them turn on the unit. And I was amazed myself how much that turning on the unit, hearing those fans, feeling the airflow were just an immediate selling point. And it got them to say, you're going to leave this demo unit right here, right now. I'm going to get just this one because I can already see in my head all my customers that are wanting this solution. This is a huge wow effect of a demo unit, me carrying it with me just like a suitcase. Let you and me step outside to the sun, let you turn it on and feel what it actually does. So it's not just give it some time and maybe it will work, maybe not, but it's actually immediate effect. Once you turn it into the sun, you'll see how it works. And then the next step, I tell them, okay, now let's turn it away from the sun. And it's funny to see how people are waiting for those fans to stop turning. And so, hold on a minute, it's going to turn off, but it's not. It's still going on because there is daylight, even though the sun is not directly on the solar panel. So it's funny to see, but it's very rewarding from that perspective.
That's fantastic. So, Erez, I'd like to ask, are there any parting words you'd like to leave us with?
Definitely be open-minded to everything, right? Run your idea amongst your friends, your closest community. Run your innovative solution that you think of with those peers, right? People that not only going to tell you, sure, everything you do is great, this is the best solution and everything, but real concrete kind of answers and feedback. And I'm telling people, listen, I'm not afraid of you telling me no, because I'm learning from why you're telling me this would not work. And I can tell you on one of the trade shows that I've been, there was like a 20-minute with a product manager that his job was to put holes in products. We went back and forth on questions on why he thought it would not work. And I was able to bring an immediate answer how it would work. And it just led us into this great relationship that we're in. I encourage everybody on the thought that you have, run it by those people that are not afraid to give you that no and challenge you, because if you're not failing, but you're learning from that experience to make that product much better.
One of my prior guests had mentioned was being willing to not only hear critics, but in some regards, embrace them, because you're going to learn a different viewpoint from them. And in some cases, it can result in product modifications or extensions that you might not have found otherwise. So being open-minded to hear not only people who love your product, which we all like that, but also people who are critical of it for one reason or another, and either being able to answer their criticism and clarify it for them, or to see a potential, perhaps, vulnerability you might then be able to plug.
Yeah, exactly. And I can tell you that's been the evolution of my solution, from starting at the garage door, listening to those people and finding out that there is a shed industry out there that is greatly benefiting from this. And then from that, learning that there's an attic solution for my innovation. So definitely listen in to those folks that provides that critics, and just learn from this, right? There'll be those that don't know maybe what they're talking about, but definitely listen in and see within your own capabilities that this is something that would help and improve your product, because it definitely helped in mine. And the feedback, there's more good than the no that I'm getting nowadays. So I'm really appreciative of those that helped along the way there. Yeah.
My final question for you then is, how can our listeners reach you if they have other questions?
Yes, absolutely. We have our website, Mobeno, Mobeno, solarsolutions.com, that you can reach us through the website itself. My email address is Mobeno, Mobenoeh, @gmail.com. And I'll give out my cell phone number, which is 919-924-9203. Would love to hear back from the folks looking into this, and that I'd love to hear back. So thank you.
Thank you for all that and your willingness to actually give out your cell phone. I have reason to believe you're going to be hearing from some of the listeners as well. And then I have for your website, Mobeno Solar Solutions, right?
Correct.
Mobeno, Mobeno solarsolutions.com. And then your email is mobenoeh@gmail.com. And then your cell phone is, anyway, so 919-924-9203. So thank you for sharing all of that. And I just want to thank you, Erez, so much for being on the podcast with us today and sharing your journey and how you've developed this innovative product and solving something that really needs to be solved, especially in these somewhat constrained places where people work that are often hot and stuffy. And I'd like to reserve the opportunity, maybe another 6 months or a year, to touch bases with you again and see where you are at that time.
Absolutely. That'd be great. I'd love to come on again.
Sure. Thanks a lot for being on the podcast today.
Thank you for having me, Alan.
So you're done searching for your product and it's not out there. Yay! Maybe you filed for a provisional patent and done some marketing research or surveys. Heck, maybe you've even created a rough prototype, then found that, although it kind of works, it looks like something from the Stone Age. You'd be embarrassed to show it to your friends, much less to a manufacturer for a licensing pitch. What if I could put you in touch with a guy who offers free consultations, takes no money down, no money up front, and will give you a quote on your project before he starts? What if I told you that this same guy can help you design your product and make you a virtual prototype before you ever put a penny into building a physical one? What if I told you he could make you patent drawings, CAD files for manufacturing, and even make marketing videos and build you a website? If this sounds like someone you want to talk to, let me introduce you to my first podcast sponsor, Brian Keast at I Draw Dreams for Inventors. With 3.5 years of trade school and 15 years of mechanical experience working as a mechanic for General Motors, you have someone that's seen countless design failures and how they were fixed. Also, he had a 25-year career as a general contractor who designed his own houses and remodels on computer-aided design. In getting plans through countless building departments, he gained a tremendous amount of experience by working directly with structural engineers. The many years of combined experience in these two careers gave him a unique look into stresses and failures in design. He brings this wealth of knowledge and experience to his company, I Draw Dreams, as the CAD guy who will design a product for you that will work. Every inventor I've referred to Brian has come away delighted with the work he has done for them, and I think you will too. Just make sure to tell them that Alan sent you. Thanks so much for tuning in to Inventors Helping Inventors. If you like the show, please tell your friends about it. Make sure to subscribe in iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts so you won't miss a single episode. Talk to you soon.